Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. And if you're just joining us, we're going to kind of, change gears just a little bit. We've been talking about a lot of antisocial behavior.
We
from
have.
But for as many acts like that take place, like this guy who just blew up the board president's mailbox to make a point. We've got a lot of associations and a lot of board members that work really hard at attracting people to be involved in their HOA and to become a volunteer. And there's some great information that we're going to cover right now on that. But let me just tell you, I'm just going through, Tony, we've got a lot to give away here that we're talking about. We've talked about the free membership to CAI, to the first caller. People want to know what should be in board meeting minutes, how those should be written. You've got a handout on that. We've got a newsletter that we give away that's free. And I'm going to add as a fourth thing the information that we're going to be talking about right now, how to attract HOA volunteers. This comes from a gentleman named Richard Thompson, who has a company called Regenesis out of Portland, Oregon. And he has a property management company, a consulting company. It looks like he's a prolific writer. We got this from the Realty Times, which is a publication that he is a writer to, and this comes from July 27th. And he talks about how to attract HOA volunteers. And it looks like he's got about 5 or 6 things here that I think are great suggestions or tips. Let's begin with what they are. He begins by saying, perfume has been used for thousands of years to attract the object of its desire. He said, oh, that it were so easy to attract volunteers to a homeowner association's board or committee. So he said these ideas are what he calls the spritz of eau de volunteer in the air to watch and getting people to contribute and volunteer to their association. So let's talk about them. First one he talks about here, develop a communication system. What do you think about that?
Well, it's an excellent idea. Yeah, and he's right. A frequent complaint of members is that they're not being kept informed. So he says to draw out volunteers, it's critical that your members know what's going on.
We're talking about transparency.
Exactly. He says be open with your meetings. We talked about that earlier. Don't have closed meetings. Make them open as much as possible.
This is all tying in some sort of harmonic convergence here today.
It is.
Yeah.
I can feel the force.
Yes.
He says your meeting minutes should be available to your members and use newsletters. I have some ideas about newsletters.
Okay.
Newsletters are a great tool, but associations and all kinds of organizations tend to make it so complicated that the newsletter falls by the wayside. Someone volunteers to do it because they have desktop publishing skills and they want to put out a 4-page color magazine with recipes and housekeeping tips and lists of babysitters available. They make it so complicated that it lasts about 2 months, and then they lose steam.
Yeah.
The most effective newsletter I ever saw that everyone in the 127 units in that association read was 1 page, one-sided, in black and white.
Yeah.
And they made sure to put informative items in that newsletter. It was brief. It was driveways to be seal coated on these and these dates. Call management for further information, or very, very pertinent information to the association. There was no fluff, no pictures. I always printed it on colored paper, on the same colored paper for this association, because when people saw it, it was a flyer they recognized in their mailbox. Oh, here's the green flyer from the Homeowners Association. Yeah. It'll take me 2 minutes to read it. I want to find out what's going on. So they made
it the same. So there's a little bit of branding involved, so people understood that, hey, that's the information that we're looking for.
That's right. And it was the most effective newsletter I've ever come across.
But you're right. The most important thing is to be consistent in giving information.
That's another good point.
It's just
send it every month or send it every 2 months. Be consistent.
Consistent and transparency. Don't be afraid to give that information. Another item he talks about, he said, give credit where credit is due. What a great idea.
It is a great idea.
There's no reason why you can't or shouldn't take the time to give a nod, to say thanks to the people that were involved in making something happen.
Yep.
I think as human beings, we all just love being recognized when it's genuine.
Well, right, and why wouldn't we? When we put in effort, when I put in time and effort to accomplish something, or to fix something, or to suggest something, I would like someone to pay attention.
Yes, I'll give you a story. This is a little bit off, but I think it displays this very well. When I was in college, I took care of a gentleman who was handicapped. Okay. He's a quadriplegic, and a great friend. But he, at that particular time, had a job where he would go to Goodwill. So Metro Mobility would pick him up. We were in an apartment with a couple other guys at the University of Minnesota campus. Mm-hmm. He would go to work at Goodwill, and his job was sorting buttons.
Okay.
From clothes.
Okay.
And he thought he was doing it. He got paid so much an hour for piecemeal work,
right,
for buttons that he would separate. Well, and he did this for a couple years. Well, one day, Metro Mobility was a little bit late coming, and as he was looking over his shoulder before leaving the building, he saw everything that he had worked and that had been divided. It was dumped in the barrel again, and he realized, I just have busy work. I'm just separating buttons that I'd already did.
My heart just broke.
Yeah, I mean, now that's the, and now tell me he's going to be excited about feeling that he's important.
Well, it's not. He's not even asking to be important. He's asking that his work means something.
Yes,
that his work
he
have
wants
a
to know
purpose.
that he wants to know that he's contributing. Yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh!
And you know what? And sometimes that happens. Sometimes people have committees for committee's sake, not because they know what they're doing, not because they have a purpose. And that's the idea here when he says, when he talks about giving credit where credit is due. You want to make sure that you appreciate people for what they're doing, but they're doing things that are meaningful for the association.
That's right.
And so I think all of that kind of ties hand in hand.
Yeah.
Another, he said, if you want to attract volunteers in your homeowner association, he says, provide social opportunities.
That's a great idea. And it's something that this takes a little bit of work, but I'll bet you there's someone in your homeowners association that loves to organize parties and loves to organize events. Try and recruit those people.
Some people don't know how to make this work. There are others that do a great job.
Yeah.
Now, in the association where my wife and I live, there are a couple events a year. There's the annual homeowners association. There is a ice cream social at the beginning of the summer, and then later on, there is a barbecue. And you know what? They get a lot of people that participate.
Okay.
People that have a meal to share, people that pay for some of the food. It's a great event. Another association, one that I manage in Edina, they have a July social event, summer event, and then they have a holiday event with the association. They do a great job, too. There's some people that just know how to get other people involved and getting people to know one another. I mean, we've talked about it before. These kinds of things help people become not so aggressive towards one another.
That's right.
But begin to deal with one another as a person with feelings, with respect, because you're getting to know someone outside of just walking out of your garage and into your unit and forgetting.
That's right. It's much more likely that you're going to be reasonable with your neighbor and reasonable with your demands if you know who that person is. You have a face, you have a voice that you associate with that neighbor, and you've become acquainted a little bit. And I must say, free food always helps.
It doesn't hurt.
Free
does it?
food helps, yes.
Okay. One more item. There's a bunch more, but we only have time real quickly for one more. And he said, assign real jobs to do.
You mentioned that before.
And,
with your
yeah,
friend.
that was a good.
You don't
example
just assign busy work to people, because why would they want to continue if they don't see any fruit of their labors?
Yes, exactly. Folks, some great ideas. The gentleman, again, his name is Richard Thompson. He is with a company called Regenesis, property management company and consulting company out of Portland, Oregon. We have those tips that we'd be happy to share with you too. Yeah. Just give us a call on our hotline. It's
another handout we can send to you by email.
Well, we've got to take a break. When we come back, we've got one last segment before we call it a day here. And we're going to be talking about an opinion piece that says, remember these 4 million HOA rules. Wow, that's a lot of rules. We'll talk about that more after these messages.